Hey Ballers, how are you on this Saturday? I had this aha moment, and so I wanted to get on, and hopefully this aha shares you that I share with you guys, that it really helps you guys. First of all, I have to apologize. I have 6 kids over here at my house. They're all downstairs in the basement, so they could run up here at any minute in time, and it could be turned into complete chaos. So I just kind of want to set the stage for that. Okay, so I know that Barbie talked earlier in this week, and she was talking about how do you increase volume? How do you get the, if you need, for say you're pushing for elite. So how do you increase that volume so you get the multipliers, and by helping more coaches go diamond? Or maybe you're one of those people that has to get your diamonds so that you're going to be an elite coach. And she recommended this book called The 12-Week Year. Okay, so I was like, okay, all right, awesome. So I downloaded and I literally read the book in an hour and a half, and it's probably the best book that I've read in the last 2 years. And so I encourage, first of all, you guys all to get this book. It is a game changer. Again, it's called The 12-Week Year. And what it talks about is that people start out at the beginning of the year and they set these big goals for themselves, right? So say, you started out and at the end of the year, you're like, I'm going to be an elite coach. But it's so far off that you don't push for that, okay? And you probably see this in your businesses as well, like I do, where I have coaches that every single month, at the end of the month, they hit Success Club. It's in the last 2 days. It's all of a sudden that pressure comes on them and they push to hit Success Club. And they do more activities and actions in those last 2 days of the month than they do all month long, right? And so by nature, we push for things when the deadline is getting close. So you can also relate this to maybe you're having, you're going to leadership and you're like, oh my gosh, leadership's coming up in a month and I haven't been on track with my health and fitness goals and I am going to choose kale over pizza, right? But unless that goal is close, because of human nature, you don't push like you normally would. And so the book really talks about, instead of having year-end goals, to have goals and you work in increments of 12 weeks. And every day is treated like a week, and every week is treated like a month, okay? But the important thing that I really want to get to right now is this, is that all year, or I should say the last 6 months, corporate has been telling us, back to basics, right? Back to the vital behaviors. And so I was looking at my own business and I'm like, all right, but I don't get it, right? I do my personal development, I do fitness, I invite, I follow up, I do all these things. Why is my business not growing the way that it had in the past, right? And so we can all look for external forces. We can say it was a launch, you can say that it's products, you can say that it's all of these different things, which again is human nature to look outside versus to look inside. And when I took a deep hard look and I looked inside, I'm like, when is the last time that I really followed a program from start to finish and really followed the nutrition program from start to finish so that I had results to show every couple weeks of my progress, okay? It's been a long time. Now, is it saying that I don't do fitness? No, I've been working out 5 or 6 days a week, so I couldn't understand where I was having this problem. But I was picking and choosing the workouts that I wanted to do. Sometimes I would do yoga, sometimes I would spin, sometimes I put one of our tapes in, and I was choosing what I wanted to do instead of allowing somebody to really follow my journey. So if you look at the most successful coaches in the network, they're ridiculously consistent. So I think of my coach, Melanie Mitro, right? And she's 2-time top coach. She's probably going to be top coach this year. And I look at that, and I'm sorry for any of you guys that are going for top coach, but I'm just talking like this. And I look at her, and I'm like, she's so successful because she's ridiculously consistent. She gets up at 5:30 every morning. She follows a program from start to finish, right? She posts on social media every single day. She's always inviting, and she's always following up. And she's very systematic and organized in her business, okay? And that's one of the hardest things I think that it is for us to be able to do. So I think about my own business, and like my own tracking system, and I've not been tracking my business and like my behaviors because I'm like, I invite every day, I post on social media every day, I follow up every day, like I'm doing what I have to be doing, but I'm not setting a consistent number. So I'm not saying like, I'm not inviting 10 to coaching, I'm not inviting 10 to challengers, I'm just kind of winging it, right? I'm doing the behaviors, but I'm not doing my potential of the behaviors. And so this book talks about that if you do the behaviors that you need to be doing, so those business building behaviors, 85% of the time, your results are going to be 200, 300 times than what they would be if you just kind of like wing it and go through the process, okay? Also, how many of us say like a diamond fell, right? And you're like, oh, I'm going to get that diamond back, or that diamond needs like 1 or 2 coaches. And instead of keep trying to motivate that, help them motivate that coach to get that diamond back, all they need to do is really go out and talk to more people and recruit more coaches, right? It seems like it's so unbelievably simple, but I think that there's so many, and I know this is my business, that when I look at my team, I'm like, what more can I do for them? What more can I do? And of course, the first thing that comes to my mind is I'm going to create a new training, right? And so when I create a new training, oftentimes it's not just based around the vital behaviors. It's based around like social media or expanding their network. Now, expanding the network is part of it, but it's always around all of these different things. And I'm always beating myself up in my mind going, gosh, what more can I do? What more can I create? And I'm in this diamond push group right now with, there's 17 other 15-star diamonds in there. And the content is absolutely incredible. But the calls are all a half an hour. They're every day. And I'm not seeing like the movement that I should. And I'm thinking it's because we tend to be collectors of information instead of actually application of the information, if that makes sense. And so instead of like all this shiny stuff, instead of creating all these new systems and all this new training and all this new stuff that we do all the time, I realize that where I've gone wrong is that I don't have my team just focused on the vital behaviors and doing that exceptionally well and tracking their business and requiring them to track it on a daily basis. Because again, I'm like, do the vital behaviors on a daily basis, but they're not tracking it the way that they could be, right? And so when I look at my own activities, I see that exact same thing. The other thing that it talks about is accountability, right? You cannot hold another person accountable. And it talks about that you can hold a baby, you can hold a cup, but you cannot hold another person accountable. That person has to be accountable for their own actions, right? So as leaders, our job really is to help them create what that vision is and create what that why is. And then when we're doing our mentoring with them, going over what that business activity looks like. So what do their invites look like? What do their posts on social media look like? How are they responding to objections? What do their follow-ups look like? And digging more into the business building activities versus all of this other stuff that we tend to do. Because how many of us like run retreats? Like we have retreats, right? Or maybe you have like an SC prize for your coaches, for the coaches that hit SC every month. And all that you're really doing is dangling a carrot in front of your team. And it's really not a good form of leadership. So I'm reading another book that I just read too. And now I can't even think of the name of it. It is, The 12 Laws of Conscious Leadership. But it really talks about that you can lead like above the belt or below the belt. And one of the ways to lead below the belt is by dangling something in front of somebody, because that might motivate them for a small amount of time, but it's not going to keep them motivated. Hence why you might have a trip and then all of a sudden people drop out a diamond, right? Because we didn't do a good job of helping them create that vision and keeping that what is their forefront of their mind. So that why, that vision, and so they don't work for it because they don't have that internal motivation. So the one thing that I learned was this, is that no matter what, and this goes down to your challengers too, right? That no matter what, like when we're working with our challengers, when we're working with our coaches, the only thing that we can really do is keep reminding them of that vision, reminding them of that why, and then really digging into that basics with them and seeing where there could be a problem. Because as you all know, the business is numbers, right? The business is all down to action. And if coaches aren't hitting Success Club on a normal basis, it's because of the fact that most likely their why or their vision isn't strong enough, or because they might be doing the activities, but maybe their activities are not, maybe they're just having trouble. Like maybe they don't really know how to respond to people, or maybe their posts on social media really aren't getting seen because their pictures aren't attractive or their copy isn't really good. And so I just thought to myself, okay, there's 12 weeks left of the year. I know that you guys are, all of us are pushing for something, or you guys wouldn't be in this team page. And so instead of wasting your time on creating more training or creating another group or another whatever, what I'm going to do with my business is I know my coaches that are going to that want to go to Diamond. I know my coaches that are pushing for the National Leader Conference or Elite or Premier. And so I am going to be working with them on a one-on-one basis, and I'm not going to be holding anybody accountable. They're going to be required to, one, read this book, the 12-week year, and number two, we are going to basically go over their business activity tracker every week and where their activity lined up. And if it did line up, then we're going to dig further into how we can improve what their actions are. So I don't know about you guys, but like I'm constantly spinning my wheels. I'm constantly like trying to like improve my trainings and my processes and all of these things. And I'm thinking about this diamond group that we're running, which is just, it's awesome. The content, I mean, I'm loving the content, but I also think that if we have, you know, somebody that can only work the business for an hour a day and they are 30 minutes watching this video, that's great. Then that's 30 minutes that they're not working their business, which means that their activities are going to be lower. Okay, so the other thing that I thought about is how many of us have signed up for like Jesse Reagan's like page training this year? I know I did, which is a very time consuming training. There's a lot of people that, you know, have signed up for all of these other trainings and all this other stuff. But that again, like it's time consuming and it's not what is going to grow your business. Making connections with other people, improving your own self, right? Building regular relationships, making sure that you really are being a product of the product. That is what is going to grow your business. And then again, those one-on-one power calls, but not because you're there to hold them accountable, right? But more so you can dive into the vitals. So I know with my team, that's something that I'm really going to be working on. And then I hand selected those coaches that I know that have those goals. And I am planning on working with them one-on-one for the end of the year. And they're the ones that are going to get my time. And again, we all know that action creates results, right? So I guess like my point of this, as I'm kind of rambling on, is that, you know, let's just stop like focusing on all the shiny stuff. Okay, let's just focus on not like creating these new trainings, quit wasting our time with all this new stuff that we try to do, and just really, really get back to basics in our business and doing more of the basic stuff, like the unsexy stuff, like the stuff that we don't like to do. You know, I mean, I particularly don't like to send invites to people. I don't like to go into my inbox and having to like overcome objections. I would much rather make a video and, you know, edit it and make it all cute, or do a blog post and all of these other things that I think are moving my business forward, but in reality, they're not. And if I want to recruit a certain amount of coaches, if I want to help so many coaches or so many challengers in my business, then that means that it has to come from me making more connections and making more relationships and adding more people into my warm market. And so I just kind of wanted to give you guys all like some grace on this, and just to realize that we all have more control in our businesses that we think we do. You know, instead of looking at the coaches that aren't moving or the fallen diamonds or any of those things, to understand that you have control over that and that your goals are not over. They're far from over, you guys. And that obviously with 12 weeks left in the year or 10 weeks left in the year, that it just means that we need to do more of the unsexy stuff, right? More of the stuff that we necessarily don't like to do, but that's really where we need to be focusing on. So this might be like old news for you guys, but I am always beating myself up, and I'm always trying to create new and trying to do this and trying to do that, and I'm spinning my wheels, and in reality, it's just because of the fact that I need to make sure that I am getting back to tracking my business, making sure that I'm hitting these numbers, at least 85% of the time in my daily activities. And with that, like, everybody's businesses are going to grow. And if you're somebody that needs to have that multiplier, understand that your coaches might not even be in your organization yet, and that they will be as long as you're growing yourself and that you're inviting to, to what we're doing instead of waiting for people to come to you. Because I'm somebody that waits for somebody to come to me, I look at their posts and then I like them and I comment them and I kind of like play around and whatever. I know you guys all probably do this too. Or I do a post and then I like whoever responds, like that's who I talk to, instead of being more proactive and really looking at my timeline and saying like, that girl's going to make a good coach. Like, I'm going to reach out to that person and I'm going to say like, hey, take a look at this. And if they reject it, then I just need to be okay with that. So, anyways, I hope that this helps you guys. And I really, really encourage you guys to read this book. Thank you so much, Barbie Decker, for sharing this book with me because it literally changed my life. Probably the best book that I've read in 2 years' time. And to also understand, like, to give yourself some grace when it comes to working with your coaches. That obviously we all know, like, we can't want more for them than they want for themselves. And that you can't, kick a horse and make it move. But that what you can do for them is help them focus on that why, help them focus on that vision, and then giving them that game plan of a business activity tracker and just making sure that that is where their focus is and none of the other shiny stuff around us. So I know for me, I'm telling my coaches, like, do not sign up for any trainings. Don't do any of this other stuff. Just let's really hone in on the basics, and that's what's going to grow our businesses. So anyways, thanks for tuning in with me. I know it's a Saturday, but I just had that aha moment, and I just kind of want to save you guys some time if you guys are, maybe creating another training, maybe putting your coaches into something else, and to just really look at yourself and say, like, are you tracking your business? If you say you're going to reach out to 20 people, are you kind of winging it the way that I was of, man, like, I'm doing all these things and I hit Success Club, 30 every month and I do all these things, and I recruit like 10 to 15 coaches, but, like, what could my numbers look like if I actually was more proactive on the activities that we're supposed to be doing? So anyways, basics, you guys, I know they've been talking about it all year. Sometimes we're a little bit of a slow learner like I am, or sometimes we kind of have those like aha moments of like, duh, why didn't I listen to this back at Summit when they were telling me this before? But that's just the way we work. And maybe this won't catch you this time around. Maybe somebody else will have to say this to you in, 5 months from now when you're like, oh, what happened with my business? So hopefully you listen to this and you take my advice and you're not one of those people. Get your business activity trackers out and really start tracking your business and understand that you have control over your business, and that let's just keep this business super, super basic. I think that we will keep so many more coaches in the network. We will have so many more people that are healthy and happy, and to follow our plans, right? Follow our nutrition plans, follow our workout schedules as the way they're supposed to be, and follow the activities that we're supposed to be doing on a daily basis and nothing else. So, all right, guys, I love you all. I hope that this was beneficial to you. I'll talk to you guys all soon and see some of you guys at Leadership in next month. All right, bye.